Hello everyone, your real estate expert Lance Moore, and in this video series we're going over how to sell a house. And today I'm going to talk about negotiation. Alright, so here we are, negotiation. Remember, I told you there's only two reasons to ever choose a real estate agent. Number one is based on their marketing plan of action, and number two is based on contract negotiation. But it's not always just contract negotiation. Sometimes there's going to be negotiations through the whole process. It might be in the beginning with the contract. It might be maybe into it a little bit longer during the inspection period. It could be after an appraisal is done. So there's going to be a lot of times where your agent could have to negotiate. Now, I look at it this way. When I work with a seller, I look at their money as my money. And I have to say, I'm a pretty frugal individual. My wife and my friends will tell you this. And I look at it as a dollar saved is a dollar earned. So I look at my client's money like mine, their bank account like mine. I'm trying to save them. I'm trying to make them every nickel I can possibly do when negotiating. So a couple things. First off the bat, the first thing you want to do is when an agent gets an offer, when an offer comes in, you never just want to accept the offer without doing a little legwork and homework first. So what happens is I'll get an offer in. Now, unfortunately, a lot of real estate agents, when they send offers, they send them via email and they never call you. They never text you. You have to pick up the phone and call them. So what I'll do is I'll do a couple things up front. I'll pick up the phone and call them and try to get a feeling on their buyer, where their buyer is. Is it a relocation and they only have one day, maybe 1 week to look or a few days to look, and then they're on their very last day and they're leaving that evening? Well, that's a lot different than someone who might be living here. What's the buyer situation? I'm trying to feel out where the buyer is, engage where they're at and what they might pay. And sometimes the real estate agent will just sing like a canary and tell you other things and tell you everything. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the phone, and if they have a lender, if they're not paying cash, I'm going to call the lender and I'm going to verify. Now, the lender's not going to really tell me a lot on the person, but I'm not calling for that reason. I'm calling to make sure this person is actually qualified for the loan and where they are in the process. And this is critically important, folks, because the last thing you want to do is have your home off the market, possibly miss other buyers buying it, then all of a sudden they have a 30-day or a 45-day loan commitment in, which they could string you along the way, by the way, and they give you the 45-day or 30-day loan commitment, and your home's been on the market the whole time, racking up days in market. It puts you in a far less of a negotiating position, so that your agent needs to do due diligence. They need to know what to say to the lender. And I'll call up the lender and I'll simply ask the lender. If it's a Fannie Mae loan, I'll say, did they meet Fannie Mae's debt to income ratio? Did they meet Fannie Mae's depository? Did they meet Fannie Mae's criteria when it comes to credit? Are they a good buyer? Tell me about the buyer. Have you taken all their loan documentation and verified it, or have you just pulled their credit? Have you put them through the automated underwriting system with Fannie Mae? I get everything up front because I don't want the home to come back on the market because of financing, because I didn't do my due diligence. So I'm going to call the lender. So that's one type of negotiation. A lot of times I'll get into negotiations after we agree to everything. So maybe during the inspection period. But first, let me get back to contract negotiation. It's also very important for your real estate agent that you hire to really, really know what's going on in the market and in the subdivision. They have to be very knowledgeable, because the good thing is right now is there's a lot of real estate agents out there that don't do business. They're just not productive, or they're new. And a lot of times you could just take advantage of their lack of knowledge. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's really true. I do everything I can to try to get my seller the highest price. So now you go into negotiation and you have to negotiate the inspection. They want certain things fixed. One thing I could say about negotiation, you never want to go in and show your cards. Okay? I had a negotiation I was going through, and my seller went back and he wanted me to tell the other realtor what he would do, what they would agree to. And I said, let's not do that. Let's put the ball in their court and have them tell us what they would accept, because maybe they would accept a lower price than what we would offer. Well, to make a long story short, they did. It was a $3,500 difference on what we ended up agreeing to. And my seller, I can't tell you how excited he is right now, and was. And I told him, I said, look, at the end of the day, Sean, we never want to go in and tell them what we're going to do first. Let them talk first. Maybe they'll give us a better offer. So that's the second thing. You always want to let them talk first and tell you what they're going to do. So it's a process. It's not just going out there and getting the offer and saying, hey, here's the offer. You gotta have your real estate agent. Your real estate must pick up the phone, call the selling agent who presented the offer, find out information, call the lender. Always look out for your best interest. Always check everything out. So let me give you a story in one I just closed recently. We had a situation where we had a home listed at $179,900. We got an offer at $279,900. We got an offer at $275,000. The appraiser went out there and it came in at $255,000. The lender said, oh, this is great news. It came in low. The seller's going to have to go down in price. My seller and I were like heck, we're going to go down in price. That's not happening. So it's worth $275 all day long. So what happened is I called up the agent. The agent didn't know what to do. He was sort of newer. So I called up the lender and I said, look, this is a VA loan. We want you to appeal the appraisal. He said, we're not appealing it. Our underwriters looked at it. It looked fine. Well, I was just as mad as a hornet. I called the seller. I detailed everything for the seller, and what went on, etc. To make a long story short, I ended up getting VA's appraisal department's email, and I sent an extremely detailed, email to them. But before I sent it to them, I called the appraiser to give him an opportunity to change it and make it right, and he refused. We got in a bit of an argument, as you might imagine. So I sent everything to, I got an argument with him because I basically thought he stole the buyer's money. And I got in a little bit of an argument with the lender, discussion I should say, because I felt that they didn't care about the buyer. They didn't care about the seller. They wouldn't even appeal it. So what I did is I sent everything into VA, very, very detailed. And 2 days later, the appraisal came in at $277, higher than purchase price, and we just closed. And why that's so important? Because if that buyer didn't buy the home, we already lost 45 days in the market. And the seller wouldn't have gotten that price again. I knew this. The seller knew this, because we just got shot. And so someone had to go to bat and fight for the seller. The seller really didn't know what to do. The selling agent didn't know what to do. The appraiser was a crook. The lender didn't give a crud about anybody. Someone had to step in for not only the buyer, but step in for the seller and do the right thing. And we ended up getting the deal closed. So it's not just about negotiating up front, it's negotiating all the way through. And so hopefully that gives you an idea of what your agent needs to do. And this is why it's so important. Because he might not have sold the home for $275. Quite frankly, would have been lucky to get $270, if that, because the home was on the market for quite a while. So anyhow, I hope this helps. Again, if you have any questions, please contact me. I wish you the best of luck. If you like these videos, subscribe, share, give me a thumbs up. Have a wonderful day. Take care.